Hey everybody, Rachel Mikulov here from Empire Tax Professionals, and today in the Wealthy CEO Secrets, I'll be going over why and how I started my business and the top 3 to 5 lessons I've learned that I know will help a lot of business owners, and what you can learn from my specific experience and how I hit 7 figures and the lessons in between. So I want to help a lot of business owners that started from square one, just like me. I started my company 15 years ago, and there's a lot that you could learn, and there's so many lessons that I wish a lot of business owners or a lot of other people would actually inform me and help me with. When I started my business, there was really nobody that was able to help me. I couldn't even find coaches or mentors. It was just going through it on my own and figuring things out by speaking to either business owner here or just like reading books and finding failing and learning on my own. So I just wanted to share a lot of specific lessons that can help you, and I want to give you a lot of value here. So if you have any questions, let me know what your questions are. I want to 100% help you, and will hopefully help you get to 7 figures with my experience. Now, I want to also share that there are a lot of coaches and mentors out there that say, oh, we can help you get 7 figures or get to 7 figures or help you, reach multiple 6 figures. But there's so many entrepreneurs out there that have these coaching programs. Not everybody, but there are a lot of people out there that never really hit it themselves. So I'm a business owner. Again, I own a tax and accounting firm on my own, in my own company annually. And that makes a big difference because a lot of people are counting, they're adding up 7 figures for the past 10 years. And that's not really that much if you really add it up. But we hit, more than, I think last year we hit close to $2 million a year. And I have about 30 people now working for me. So, if you have any specific questions, let me know what they are and we can 100% help you. So there are some specific questions that we got from other people, and there are business owners that have asked us specific questions. So I want to actually share them with you, and you might be really interested. So okay. When did I start my business? Talk about how you started your business. So first thing is, I started my business 15 years ago, back in, or 14 years, I don't even know, back in 2008. And I remember, getting a job at an accounting firm, and they gave me an offer of $55,000 or $50,000 annually. And I'm like, okay, this is really good. But after paying my daycare, all my other expenses, I was really left with nothing. And I'm like, I don't understand how this makes any sense. It didn't make sense. They wanted me to work like 40 to 50 hours annually, even a little bit more than that, like 60 to 70 hours during tax season. And I came home, and at the time I had 2 kids, and it just didn't make any sense. So I'll never forget when I came home, and I came home at 7 p.m. and my babysitter was putting my kids to sleep. And I said, this is not gonna work. I'm leaving, I'm going to work early in the morning, and I'm coming back at home late at night. And I have 2 small kids that need my attention. So I just said, and making 50K or 45K was totally not worth it. So I decided to just quit and own my own company. And it was just such a risk that I took, because I would never think that I would get to where I am today, to be really honest. My vision wasn't that I just didn't think of it. But I just said, I really need to start something on my own. I have to make more money. And I didn't really start my own business. I didn't start the company because of the money. I started the company for 2 reasons. One, I really wanted to have more time with my kids. That was like the main pain point that hurt me. Money was just like, okay, I didn't really focus on the money back then. And I mean, even now, but at least your taste, it's just different. But I didn't really open my company because of the money. I wanted to really spend more time with my kids and be there. And I remember once I wanted to take off, and it was like my son's graduation or something. And they're like, no, you can't take off. And I'm like, are you serious? What do you mean? I want to be there for my son's first grade preschool, graduation, or I want to make sure that my son's first day of school will be good. And I won't just throw him into the class while he's crying. And it just broke my heart. And I'm like, this cannot, I can't I'm not going to work full time for a company. So now, even if somebody, like one time my admin said, Rachel, it's my first day of her son's school, or I don't remember what it was, but there was a time where she came to me with that specific, problem where she wants to be at her son's graduation or something like that. And I said, yes, even if we have a million things to do, you are not going to miss on that milestone. And when I worked at this accounting firm, they were just so cold. They were careless. They did not care. And I said, that is why I just quit my job and started my own company. So the other thing is, like, what was the moment that you realized that you officially wanted to start your business, and were you working at that time? So answering that question, yeah, I knew that I just wanted to open my company because I wanted to be there for my kids. And I was also like, back in like 14 years, I think in 2007, I was extremely sick. So I couldn't work at the same time, and I couldn't give my all to the job. So I just said, you know what, let me just take care of my health. I was so stressed out and I was going through so many things. And I just said, you know what, let me take care of my health. Let me take care of my kids. And then I'm also going to focus on my business. I'll never forget how I was pregnant with my second child at the time. And I was just like, I couldn't eat. I was just throwing up, and there was just so much going on. And I'm like, I really wanted this job that they offered me. It was like in a big accounting firm. And I started again, throwing up, and it was just so hard. And I thought, why is this happening to me? I'm dying to have this job. Why is this happening to me? And then I'm like, and I mean, we don't realize why bad things happen to us is what I'm going to, right? We don't realize there's so many bad things that happen to us. And then later, now, I'm so grateful that I got sick. I'm so grateful because if I wasn't sick, then I wouldn't start my own company, right? Now, I remember when I started promoting myself and started telling everybody in the community that I started preparing tax returns and everything. And I remember, going to the doctor, and I had to be on IV literally every single day. That's how bad it was. So I used to beg the doctor. I'm like, can you please put the IV on my left hand so I could write my to-do list on my right hand and write my goals and write, what I'm looking for and what I want to do. And I was just so committed. But again, I didn't really know where I was going. I was just taking it one step at a time, which is what a lot of business owners really need to be doing. You want to take it one step at a time, and it may be really difficult in the very beginning, but you need to just start your own business. Make sure you have the proper, LLC and corporation, and you may not see the entire vision, but just keep on going, and you're going to keep the vision that you have in your mind is going to be even more clearer. Okay. The other thing is, like I mentioned, the other reason, I don't know if a lot of people know that my father got deported in 2005, I think, and he got deported because he didn't pay his taxes. And I remember asking him, what happened? Why did this happen? And he said, I really got bad guidance from my accountant. And I got so angry. And I got so upset, and I couldn't believe how accountants would just do the robotic work. That's what a lot of accountants do. They do the robotic work. There's absolutely no guidance. Nobody's really helping them or giving them guidance. And my father had no guidance. So he had this unexpected tax bill. He asked his accountant, and there's so many different complications that happen in between. But that's when I decided I really want to be an accountant and help other business owners to never go through that specific situation ever again. And there's so many people that come to us. There, a lot of immigrants that come to us, and they're like, how, not really immigrants, but they just need guidance. A lot of people that don't speak English, come to us. Years ago, I had a daycare lady who came to me, and her daughter, speak English, and the lady speaks Spanish. And I'll never forget how she started crying to me. I remembered that's exactly how my father was. He didn't speak perfect English and he needed guidance from his accountant. So they got a $168 or $200,000 workers' comp bill. And she thought that that's it. She's going to close her business. And they were like crying. They were like, what is this? Their accountants never told them that they needed a workers' comp insurance. And I'm like, this is exactly why I started my business, to help business owners like this, to educate business owners and let them know exactly what they need to do, why they need to do it. And when we called her accountant, who was in the Bronx, she said, oh, I'm not an insurance agent. I don't need to tell you that you need to have workers' comp. It is your responsibility to get workers' comp insurance. And then I said, yeah, but you processed payroll for this person. Wouldn't it make sense for you to tell them that before you process payroll for this person, you're required in New York state law to have workers' comp insurance. You need to register with Department of Labor before you process payroll. And she goes, oh, that's not my job. That's not my job. And I'm like, oh my God. Now this client came to me like, I think 5 or 6 years ago. This client is still a client of ours. And because we give them guidance, and before we even process payroll, we tell people, hey, you need to have workers' comp. You need to register with Department of Labor. We tell them what they need to know, because after all, accountants are business consultants. They're business consultants because you want to make sure that we're giving them guidance and we're letting them know what they need to know and what they need to do overall to make sure that they're compliant. With this specific situation with my father, nobody really told him what he needed to do. Nobody really guided him. He really did well with what he was doing. And that's what business owners do, right? They do really well with either their marketing firm or their e-commerce firm. When it comes to financials or legality, they blink. I have doctors that are making so much money. When it comes to taxes, they don't know exactly what they need to be doing. So this is why I started my firm. You could be the smartest person in your own craft and field, but you may not understand the legalities and the the technicalities of tax and opening your entity and what you need to do and what your requirements are, such as bookkeeping, payroll. There's so much that goes into it. And I remember, coming home from the place where my father was being held because he was detained for him not paying his taxes and he was not compliant. And I was just like crying in the train station. And I'm like, nobody's ever going to go through this again. I will do everything and anything to help every single business owner to make sure that they understand exactly what they need to do. And that's why I'm so passionate. I keep on going forward because I'm so passionate, and money never motivated me. Money, I think it's really a problem if you start a company because of money, because then, I don't know. I mean, you need to start a company because of passion. You need to love what you're doing. So every single day, it doesn't feel like you're working, you're enjoying what you're doing. And then people pay you because you're so good at it. So just to let you know, I feel like there are a lot of business owners that start their companies because of money, then they lose their passion and they end up closing their company. So I've talked to a lot of people, and I would recommend going after your specific passion and thinking about exactly, why you want to do this. And I mean, I'm obsessed with financials. I'm obsessed with making sure everything is done accurately. And honestly, even if it wasn't for money and 100%, I would still be doing exactly what I would be doing today. There's nothing else. I don't even like shopping. I mean, I don't even enjoy shopping. I'm telling you, I go to Miami and I'm like, I need to work because this is what I love doing. I love speaking to clients, to humans, because they're so confused. And when they come to us and they're like, oh, I don't even know what to do. What's the difference between an LLC and an S Corp? And because I'm able to give them specific information, I'm able to give them peace of mind. I feel like sometimes I'm a doctor, because when you go to a doctor, you say, oh, I have pain. And they say, where do you have pain? Okay, let's say your head hurts, for example, right? They give you an Advil and that pain goes away. People come to me with that exact pain. They have a problem. They have so many problems that they come to me with, and I'm able to give them the proper solution. And I'm able to be their Advil without really giving them a medication. And they leave my office with such a peace of mind. And I can't begin to tell you how that makes me feel. It's an incredible feeling. Like the client that I was telling you before, she came to me crying in my office, and I'll never forget, I was actually pregnant with my third child, who's 5 now, or 6 actually. It was just crazy. She came to me crying. 30 minutes later, she left happy. She left like, Rachel, you could take care of this. And actually, we helped her lower her workers' comp. I think it was like $168,000 or $163,000 to $2,125, literally. $160,000 workers' comp bill to $2,125. And back in the days, 5-6 years ago, guess how long that took me? You really want to know? It took me an hour. Took me an hour to do it. All I needed to write is write a really nice letter for it was like a 2-page letter that I wrote to the workers' comp board. I had facts and everything, and I was able to, prove my point and whatever. Took me an hour, and then like I think a week later, they sent me and say, hey, thank you so much for your inquiry, blah, blah, blah. We were able to reduce the client's penalty to $2,125. And I'm like, yes. How many more people can I help out there with this specific issue that they're having? And a lot of attorneys, I would believe that they're probably telling their clients to pay this. Most probably, they're probably telling their clients to pay this, or accountants, because they don't really know how to resolve this. And I believe that maybe the first time I did that, I just gave it a try, because I really, again, wanted to help this client. I just felt like my parents were in the room, and I'm like, I need to help this woman. I really didn't charge her much, and I didn't care about the money. I just know that was my first experience. I believe it was my first experience. And I'm like, I need to help her. And now because of that, it just helped. It proved my proof of concept in my mind. And I'm like, yes, I could continue doing this. This is why I want to do it. This is, I want to help a lot of business owners with this specific situation and everything else. And it just felt really good. So what made you, the other question that somebody's asking me here is, what made you believe that your business could succeed? So as I mentioned, I started my company. I quit this big accounting firm. When you're in college, everybody dreams of getting this job at the big 4 accounting firm. And I swear, I felt like I was like a monkey. It was just like monkeys everywhere in the computer, and nobody really cared about you. And it was just such a disgusting, negative environment that I never wanted to be in. There are people that came in before the sun came out, and there are people that left after the sun came out. And I'm like, this is just like, it was just a very toxic environment, and all you needed to do was just work. There were no, there was no culture. There were, even during lunch, they would keep track of how long your lunch break is. They didn't let you breathe, the accounting firm that I was working at. And it was so toxic. And I'm like, I am going to quit, and I'm going to start a company, and I will never, ever, ever treat my team this way. And I remember one time, I really had to have an operation. And I told my boss, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm having an operation on Sunday. I can't come in on Monday. Or I think I needed to leave early. And I don't remember. It was so many years ago. And they didn't even care. Okay, bring a doctor's note. Make sure you're in the next day. Excuse me? It was just so cold. They didn't care. I'm like, no, this is not where I want to work. And I left. I'm like, next time you should really look for a slave. That's what I said. I'm like, I'm not a slave. I know what I'm worth. I know, and my kids need me. And I quit during the day, and I'm like, oh my God. I started walking in the city because I was working on 34th Street, I believe, it was in the city. And I'm like, wow, it's daytime outside. There's actually daylight. There's world. There's a life out there versus just working. And it was just such a bad, toxic environment. And I didn't know where exactly I was going, but I know that my husband, that day, my husband 100% supported me. I came home and I said, I'm done, goodbye. And I started my own company in that day. So Again, back to that question, what made you believe that your business could succeed? I believe that my business could succeed because I had so many, we have a really solid community, and a lot of people just like started asking me to do their tax returns. So the first year, I think I hit 89 tax returns the first year. And I believe I started my company in the middle of the year. So it's like tax season. You really need to start marketing your company like in November, I would say at least. But I started my company in February, which is like the worst time to start your company because everybody's like really going back to their accountants and whatever. So I feel like I did pretty well the first year of 89 tax returns. The following year, I hit like 160. I doubled. And I made like $85,000 the second year, which is pretty good for me. I mean, back in the days, it was really good. And then after that, I just like people, started referring us and word of mouth, etc. How did you know what kind of business you want to start? So I went to school for accounting. I always wanted to be in finance. I loved, financials. It was always a passion of mine. When I was a little girl, I knew that I wanted to help business owners. I didn't know how. I also wanted to be a nurse, but I'm like, I can't really, go to blood, see blood. I can't, when I used to go to the nursing homes to help people because we used to go once a week to the nursing homes to help, just to ask people how they are. We used to do like a charity event every single Saturday. And, we used to, because there's so many people in the nursing homes and that did not really have family check in on them. So we would do that every single week, go to the hospitals, get a list of people that don't I don't know why they gave us a list of people, and we would just say hi. We would sing to them. We would check in how they are. We would talk to them. And it was just like a beautiful deed that we would do. It took 3 hours on a weekly basis on a Saturday. And I should actually start doing that. I guess not now with COVID. I don't know. But yeah, so we would, and then I'm like, oh my God, I don't like the smell here. I would just do just to help other people, but it's not something that I really wanted to work in that environment. And it was a very depressing environment to see people screaming and like dying. It was just not where I wanted to be. So I just wanted, I wanted to be in the financial world, and that's how I knew that I would succeed because I became licensed. How do you build a large base of your customers? So the way I started my company and getting clients was we started with like promotion. So flyers, Google ads we started doing. We started doing Yelp. We did SEO. There's so many things that we were doing just to get our first 89 clients. But at first I had somebody like $15 an hour stand outside and give out flyers and go into, different restaurants and let people know what we were doing. That's how I started 15 years ago, literally. And now obviously things are just, people started coming and we grew, but that obviously the entire world changed in the past couple of years and everything is online. So social media is really the best way to go. The next question is, what do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur? What's the hardest part of being an entrepreneur? The hardest part is really, I would say hiring. Hiring is really the hardest part because you want to make sure that the person that you're hiring really matches your vision, your culture, and your attitude. There's so many people out there that are just like coming in and they lie about their experience, or they say they know a few things and then they don't show up. That's really that has been one of the difficult challenges. Also, there are a lot of challenges with, there's a lot of challenges being an entrepreneur, like just making sure, you have someone to reach out to when you have a problem. When I had issues in the past of like hiring or how to hire, where to post, how to market, what to say, what not to say. A client, let's say, is complaining. Where do you go? How do you approach this? These are the things that were never taught in college. And back in the days, I wish I knew about mentorship. I wish I knew about coaching, and that would help me, grow my company to a much, much faster pace. I started coaching in 2016 and I started my company in 2008. So 8 years, it was such a lonely road. And it was just like, really like just trying to, failing and learning from my mistakes and just keep on moving forward without nobody saying, hey, this is normal. this is normal for you to have these pains. And all of my friends were working for companies. Nobody was really doing what I was doing. Absolutely nobody. And if they were like in their, a lot older. I was the only one that started my company in my 20s, that I knew of. And it was just so hard to hire and training someone, and then, paying people, setting up payroll. And there's just so many things that I didn't even know about. I actually got screwed by my attorney, and he opened a C Corp for me instead of an S Corporation. And then I had issues with that. And there was just so many issues that I wish one person would guide me and say, okay, from the very beginning, you need to do this and you need to do that. And then this is the way you hire someone. And, in 2016, when I hired my coach, and now we're in 2021, it's just crazy how we tripled. And I think even more than that, we made so much more money because we hired a proper coach. Because now you feel like, okay, people quitting, that's normal. You don't know what's normal until somebody really tells you what's going on. So that was my struggle. There's so many things that a lot of people didn't, again, tell us. Coaches really help you get to the next level. Coaches, mentors, my coach helped me get to the next level, especially with mindset. Oh my God, I did a lot of mindset work, and it just helped me a lot. College actually teaches you how to be really good employees, and it took me a few years to really understand that. They teach you how to be really good employees, but it doesn't teach you anything on how to be a good business owner. They don't, I don't know. I wish they did. So then I wouldn't go through the struggles that I went through. Like I said, with hiring. I mean, in the beginning, I really didn't have that many hiring issues, but, getting people and getting, hiring, promoting my services or operations or IT. There's so many different things that go through create or getting to a 7-figure firm. And I just learned it on my own. And then I hired coaches in 2016, like I mentioned. So yeah, what was the first thing you did to start your business? I started my entity. I got licensed by the IRS. I hired my first accounting assistant who was able to answer phones, pick up phones, help me with, started delegating as much as I can. So as a business owner and as a CEO, you really want to delegate as much as you can, but to the appropriate person that knows how to handle what you're giving them. I used to work for a CPA firm years ago who would delegate things to interns, and then he would get really upset that things were not done the right way, that the returns were wrong. And it was because he was giving it to someone that didn't have much experience. So I learned a lesson from that, and I said, never again. I'm never going to hire, and I'm not going to, that's how you learn from other people. So I never hired anyone that didn't have the exact experience that I wanted. I paid a little bit more money so I could get the proper, the proper person. Even if it costed me a little bit more, I didn't really care. I just wanted to make sure that I could delegate it to the appropriate person who could handle it well. So let's say I had 100 tasks on my to-do list, and there's so many things that I really wanted to do. I said, okay, 10 people, this is marketing. How can I hire a proper marketing person who can, do all of this and who could make sure the job gets done the right way? Now I had let's say 40 tax returns that needed to be filed. I'm not going to give it to an intern. No way, because there's going to be so many mistakes. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, and I never wanted that. I hired someone who was extremely experienced and that knew exactly what they were doing. So when I review it, it was just a breeze. So then those 2 tasks, let's say 20 to 50 tasks, I was able to delegate it to one person who was able to just get the job done and make sure, again, that it was done the right way. Years ago, again, I hired... in my other firm that I worked for, I was a senior manager. So my boss hired interns and other people that were not qualified. And it was just again, re-explaining everything all over again, going back to okay, this is what you need to do. And again, they would ask specific questions. So it took so much more time. And as a business owner, you always want to save your time, and you don't want to waste, going back and forth communicating, going back and forth communication. So last question is, what is the one thing that you'd say, really took your business to the very next level? The one thing I would say is coaching. I mean, mentors, hiring my mentors back in 2016 and coaching really helped me get to the very next level. It actually, it's like, basically, I would think that's a lot more valuable than college, because college didn't really teach me anything, and I spent $50,000, $60,000, even a little bit more than that on college. But my coaches said, okay, here's mindset training. Here's what you need to do in order for you to, there's so many other, I don't remember exactly, because that was back in 2016, but it helped me open my mindset and open my mind to a much broader level. And that's the one thing that changed me. So back in 2016, we were making like $500,000, and I was like dying to hit $1 million at that time. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was overworked. I was working like 60 to 70 hours a week. And I'm like, okay, I can't really work 80 to 90 hours a week so I could make more money. What exactly am I doing wrong? So my coach says, raise your prices, show more value. We were able to raise our prices, show more value, get a different client avatar, like focus on different businesses making more money so we can help them at a much higher level. And that changed everything. Like just getting guidance from a coach and then the next year we hit 950 or 970. We didn't hit $1 million yet in 2017, but in 2019, I think we hit 1.5. And 2020, we hit close to $2 million. So we're growing so fast, and I'm seeing amazing 10x growth because of the coaches and the mentors that we hired. And honestly, again, if I had that mentorship and coaching back in 2008 when I just started my company, I would probably be at $10 million right now, because then I would know exactly what I need to do. I won't have fear of getting that huge office space or hiring more people or raising my fees, because every single time I would raise my fee by $25, I would say, oh my God, is this normal? How could this be? What are clients gonna say? Like there's so many thoughts that go behind in your mind, and you have that fear kicking in your mind. And my coaches trained us how not to be scared of anything, and you just figure it out. So with the proper training, it helped me become a better and a high level CEO of who I am today. And that's the one thing that really helped me get my business to the very next level. So I hope this helped a lot of business owners on here. If you have any specific questions, let me know. If you're watching the replay, comment too below. And again, please feel free to share any insights, or if this inspired you in any way, let me know any questions that you may have. I would love to help all of you. And thank you so much, guys. Have a beautiful day. Bye.